Hello and welcome back. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports and WeBuyGuns.com in Westfield, Indiana, and you are watching Marksman TV. Welcome back to another gun store vlog. In this video, I'm going to pose the question, is the era of recreational shooting over? So if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. That's coming up now. So some variation of this question has been on a lot of people's minds over the past year and a half with the ever-increasing pricing and low availability of ammunition. Now, of course, because of the virus and all of that, there's been a lot of hype around ammunition purchasing. We've seen the pricing skyrocket, the availability plummet, and then now we have the added news of importation from Russian-manufactured ammunition being stifled within about the next calendar year. That's caused a lot of concern for cheap available ammunition. Will it be available for people to purchase and go out and to enjoy recreationally? Now, when we define what recreational shooting is, I would define it as somebody who is wanting to go out and shoot or shoot their guns for the enjoyment of doing so, punching holes in paper just for the purpose of punching holes in paper. Now, it's this segment of the ammunition market that is probably the most lucrative, as these people are continuing to go back to gun stores or internet sources to purchase ammunition because they have a enjoyment for going to the range and firing a whole lot of ammunition. When you have people who are mainly just concerned with concealed carry, who might go to the range once or twice a year to keep up their proficiency with their firearm, they are not a very big customer in the ammunition space because they might only purchase 4 or 5 boxes a year. It's that continual recreational shooter that's really important to the market. It's hard for those people, though, to go back and continue to purchase a lot of ammunition with the pricing of the ammunition increasing and the availability becoming difficult to get. Remember, when we're talking about recreation, we always have different options for ways that we can spend our time, whether it's taking up golf, going to the bowling alley, going shopping, taking up skiing. If ammunition becomes too expensive, other ways of spending our time start becoming more attractive. And that's something that manufacturers of ammunition are not going to want to see happen with their demographic. I don't believe that the era of recreational shooting is over. I think it has been very difficult to go out and enjoy shooting, but I think the market is going to correct itself. Now, one of the big gripes I have about this industry is that we tend to be very reactive when things happen. Again, we hear news of the Russian importation ban, and 7.62x39 ammunition doubles in price overnight, even though the ammunition from Russia is going to be continuing to come in over the next year, as the approval for that importation of ammunition has already been received over that next year, and that's not being declined retroactively. So at least we will have that supply of ammunition coming in. Now, when we look at any market for any commodity, you can basically segment it into 3 categories. You have your lower end of the market, you have your middle end or middle class, and you have your upper end of the market. Now, typically in any industry, if we're talking automotive, hotels, houses, restaurants, you tend to have businesses that focus on one of those 3 segments of the market. A lot of times they might focus on 2 segments of the market, but typically you don't find somebody focused in all 3 segments. In ammunition, you might argue that Hornady focuses on the higher end of the ammunition market, whereas Red Army Standard in those Russian imports was very heavily vested in the lower end of the ammunition market. If we look at cars, Bugatti is focused heavily on the high end of the market, where you might have Toyota focusing on the low end to the middle end of the market. Same with hotels, same with restaurants. 5-Star Steakhouse is not serving the same market as a McDonald's, although there is some crossover. Now, the problem is with the increase in price of ammunition from the low end of the market, that's your Russian imported ammo, that might even be Blazer aluminum cased ammunition, or just your standard 115 grain 9mm full metal jacket PPU, which used to be $8 or $9 a box. As the pricing of that ammunition starts to go up, you start cutting out people on the lower end of the market. That's why price hikes and increased prices of things tend to always affect the lower socioeconomic class and have very, very little basis or bearing on the higher end of the market. If a box of 9mm goes from $10 a box to $20 a box, somebody making $500,000 a year is not going to be affected by that. They're going to continue to purchase ammunition, go to the range, and enjoy it. But the family that's living off of minimum wage or a couple minimum wage jobs are going to stop purchasing that ammunition, and they're going to be left behind and left out of the market. Now, one of the great things about capitalism is when there is a large segment of the market that is not being served, it will always find a way to get served, because the amount of money that is the profit potential out of that segment of the market that's not being addressed becomes too attractive to where it becomes too unavoidable for somebody to step in and try and fill. So right now we are in a temporary shortage. We have the current ammo manufacturers are trying very hard to meet demand. You're seeing an increased price in non-NATO calibers because a lot of those manufacturers are focusing on those NATO calibers, whether it's for police, military, contract, or the largest segment of the market that's interested in things like 5.56 and 9mm. We are going to have an exit on Russian ammunition, but there is going to be a huge demand for those calibers: 5.45x39, 7.62x39 9mm Makarov, 7.62x54R. Somebody's going to have to step in and fill that gap. Now that typically happens in a market of one of two primary ways. I guess I'll say three. The first way is for existing companies. That would be like Winchester, CCI. You have the Vista brand ammunition, or Remington and all that, trying to fill in that market by reducing their costs and creating an ammunition type that's more accessible and less costly to be able to get those people back into the market. Maybe finding a new supply of ammunition, components like new metals and things like that, to try and keep those costs down, maybe reducing their labor staff or investing in technology that makes the production of the ammunition less expensive so that they can get back to serving that segment of the market. Another way to do that is to find alternative sources of ammunition. Now, I think this is going to be true with the exit of Russian ammo. That is, there are so many countries that have manufactured those com block calibers, like Romania is a big one that comes to mind, to where importers are going to start trying to source that ammunition because they're going to notice the demand for it and the huge profit potential for finding it and bringing it into the country. Now, you typically leave those things alone unless the price can outcompete what's currently on the market, like the Russian ammo. If the price of Russian ammo is too inexpensive to be worthwhile to find alternative sources, then they wouldn't find those alternative sources. Now that the option is open, I think people will find those alternative sources, and we will likely see that ammunition come in. The third and most common way that those markets are satisfied is through innovation. What I predict will probably happen is some manufacturer, if the pricing of metals and things becomes too expensive and stays high, or the effects of inflation have caused the pricing of those goods to outpace the growth in wages that we're maybe going to see. I don't know. That area of the economy is not my expertise. But what you will probably have is innovators try and come up with alternative ways of lowering their cost of ammunition. There's one that comes to mind. Midwest Ammunition had a really good idea of coming up with this process by which they would get together with ranges, take the brass casings that were left behind from customers at the range, ship it off to the company. It would be reloaded, shipped back to the range, and then being able to be sold at a sub $10 a box. This was a really good idea because it served the customer who's able to get inexpensive range ammunition. It would serve the range having inexpensive range ammunition to sell to the customer, keeping them shooting in the ranges. And it served the ammunition manufacturer now being able to compete against others, getting 1/3 of its material components for free provided to them by the range. So that was a really interesting, innovative business idea, and it led to a supply of inexpensive ammunition. Another thing that could potentially happen is a manufacturer not even based in the ammunition space, who might be based in the composites industry or polymers, who might be coming up with technology in order to create a composite material able to withstand the pressures of a standard standard round, 9mm 308, 7.62x39, and selling that at a price well below what other metal components may cost. Now, some people might think this is funny, but this is really how the AR-15 came into existence. Eugene Stoner worked for Fairchild, which was Armalite, which was a division of Fairchild manufacturing aircraft components. They took that technology of lightweight aircraft components and came up with arguably one of the most innovative and successful weapons platforms, weapons designs that we still use today. Again, solely based in aircraft engineering, saw a demand for a lightweight, inexpensive firearm, mainly for military use, and the innovation came out of that because there was this big, open, glaring opportunity in the market. As ammunition starts again getting pressed away from people who can no longer afford it to go recreationally shoot, somebody will have to come up with a way to provide cheap, inexpensive practice ammunition for that segment of the market because it'll be too valuable to leave behind. So I don't have a crystal ball and I have no way of predicting the future, but we can look at other similar commodities and see a similar story being told where a certain group of the market is left out due to the inability of that market to serve that demographic any further. Innovators will step in and create new technology that not only serves that segment of the market and becomes more affordable, but changes the rest of the market in general. We've seen this with cell phones, we've seen this with automobiles, we've seen it with clothing, with energy, with food, with housing. It's happened at one point or another throughout our recent industrial history, if we even just go back and look at about the past 100 years. I don't think that ammunition is going to be any different. So, to get back to the original question, are we at the end of recreational shooting? Has ammunition and shooting guns and firearm collecting only become for the wealthy and the elitist? No, I don't believe so. Temporarily, yeah, it's becoming prohibitively expensive. We've got to give it time for innovators to step in, new products to emerge, and innovations to occur, and it will correct, and we will get people back out on the range shooting again. I'm going to leave you guys off with those thoughts. If you have any questions, please leave those down below. If you enjoy my videos, please hit that subscribe button and bell notification button so you are aware when I'm posting new content. I'm going to leave you guys off there. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports and WeBuyGuns.com. You are watching Marksman TV, and I will see you next time.